Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Manhattan. I'm Pastor Isabel Call. My pronouns are they and she, and it is such an honor and a joy to serve as the minister here. We are a diverse, evolving spiritual community acting for a better world. Recognizing that conflict need not lead to violence and damage, as we see so often beyond these walls, we covenant to practice respectful acceptance of each other, even when our different experiences and paths may lead to disagreement. We know we must work together to live out our mission, and so we do our best to patiently negotiate, reconcile conflicts, and choose friendship over irreconcilable differences. Welcome visitors and newcomers. We're so glad you're here. Please chat with us after the service. Our in-person greeter, Karen, has probably already made sure you have a flower. And our Zoom host, Linda, is here too, especially available to answer questions. If you're here in person, do you have a flower? Does anybody not have a flower? If you don't have a flower, raise your hand and Karen will bring you one. If you have a joy or sorrow you'd like to have shared later in the service, if you're here on Zoom, there will be a time for you to type it into the chat. And if you're here in person, I encourage you to write it down on one of the slips of paper nearby.
Over 100 years ago, the members of the Prague Congregation of Liberal Religious Fellowship celebrated their first flower communion. World War I was over. They had been courageous, but now they were able to rest and enjoy freedom. Freedom to finally express and expand their spirituality. We light the chalice with the words of Reverend Suzelle Lynch. Imagine their hunger for soul-filling music and a message of unity that reaches across all lines of difference. Imagine their longing for a community where their gifts and needs would be embraced. 102 years ago, the Congregation of Liberal Religious Fellowship in Prague, Czechoslovakia, was the community of their dreams. Let's go back even further in time. Norbert Čapek was born in 1870. He practiced Catholicism with his mother, but was also influenced by the non-violent Moravian Brethren faith of his father's family and his father's atheism. Reverend Lynch says, Norbert Čapek grew up thirsting for a faith free from hypocrisy, a faith that would respect his mind and help him give voice to his convictions. I know that's true for many of us. Čapek was an eager student. At 18 in Vienna, he discovered the Baptists and became a Baptist minister and church planter, founding a dozen churches from Ukraine to Budapest. He also published many articles. As he preached and wrote, he explored his beliefs and became more and more open-minded, which was threatening to people in power. German authorities tracked and threatened Norbert. So he and his first wife, Maria, decided to relocate to New York with their 8 children. Sadly, Maria passed away shortly thereafter. A Slovak Baptist church in New Jersey called Norbert to serve as their minister. He was a good minister to his congregation, but he was discovering that he could not continue leading them in the direction of the Baptist church. Some more conservative ministers agreed and had him tried for heresy at the Baptist Association. The hallmark of a good Unitarian is to be accused of heresy.
There. One day in 1919, he wrote in his diary, I cannot be a Baptist anymore, even in compromise. The fire of new desires, new worlds is burning inside me. Norbert resigned as a Baptist minister with the encouragement of his second wife, Maya, who was also a Czech expatriate. At this time, the Universalist Church of America and the American Unitarian Association had not yet joined together. Of these, our two ancestor traditions, it was the Unitarians who had a strong presence in the New York City metro area. One Unitarian church became a refuge for Norbert and Maya, and Norbert began to understand himself as a Unitarian minister. When the war was over, Norbert and Maya could return to their homeland with their children. This was 1921, and they chose to settle in the city of Prague, where they started a church. Reverend Lynch writes, their religious movement caught fire in a nation alive with freedom and longing for change. The Prague congregation's liberating message and vibrant music drew thousands to worship. Yet something was missing. A new ritual was needed to unite the diverse and eager crowds. The Čapeks asked everyone to bring a flower to church. They could find the flower wherever they liked, from their garden or just along the road. At the beginning of the service, they placed them all in a single vase, beautiful together because of the variety. We are going to do this in a moment. And then, as Čapek wrote, when they go home, each person is to take one flower, just as it comes, without making any distinction where it came from and whom it represents, to confess that we accept each other. He nurtured the spirits of his people and insisted on the inherent worthiness of every person. Of course, his commitment to this message and wrong part, but I have my pages mixed up. I'm sorry. There we are. They accept each other without regard to class, race, or other distinction, acknowledging everybody as our friend. It was a ritual to celebrate individual freedom, diversity, and unity. The Prague Fellowship celebrated their flower communion every year and continued to grow and thrive.
Continuing the story where Elke left off, Norbert and Maya Čapek found Unitarianism in the United States and brought it home with them to Czechoslovakia. The congregation that formed around them was full of potential, but you know what was stirring a decade after World War I, World War II. The war was displacing people from their homes and striking fear in their hearts. In 1939, Maya Čapek came to the United States. Her goal was to raise funds to help war refugees, but she also raised awareness and built powerful connections. Part of how she built those connections was the same way she and Norbert had done in Prague, through the flower communion. It started in the Unitarian Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and soon spread to congregations across the country. Norbert Čapek stayed in Czechoslovakia. He continued to write and preach. He nurtured the spirits of his people and insisted on the inherent worthiness of every person. His commitment to the message came from his own experience of being made to feel unworthy in other faith traditions. His journey is what made him strong, and he would need that strength in months ahead. The choir will sing for us now, Čapek Journey. Listen to the refrain, which has been true for many of us on our journeys. Something didn't feel right in my head or in my heart. I knew that reason and love are the only place to start.
loved the candles, the incense, the rituals. As an altar boy loved to play my part. The mysteries of religion, my passion. Love of learning was deep in my heart. But as I learned, I questioned. The priests were not the saints I expected. Rome came to Slavic lands unbidden. There was so much they taught I rejected. Something didn't feel right in my head or in my heart. I knew that reason and love are the only place to start. I wanted freedom, respect for my heritage, to decide for myself what to believe. The Catholic Church shut down questions, so I knew it was high time to leave. The brethren my father enfolded believed in a religion of deeds, reform and peaceful resistance to rigid, intolerant creeds. Something didn't feel right in my head or in my heart. I knew that reason and love are the only place to start. Baptists came closer to filling my longing, didn't ask me to insulate my mind. The Bible is a human creation. We can treasure the wisdom we find. Apply Bible tales to our own lives as missionaries spread the word. Choose to be baptized when ready and build up God's kingdom on earth. One where all feels right in my head and in my heart. I know that reason and love are the only place to start. We need a new kind of religion based on freedom and reason and love, grounded in our history, not foisted, trusting Jesus and set free from Rome. My head says there's one God, not three. My heart tells me that God loves us all. My soul grounds me in my home country, so I'll build a new church on our soil. One where all feels right in my head and in my heart. I know that reason and love are the only place to start.
Let us bring ourselves now into a time of generosity. Here at UUFM, the money we collect each Sunday goes to a local organization. The Helping Hands recipient for June is True Colors. And today, Katie Baker will be joining us from True Colors to tell us about this wonderful organization. Welcome,
Of course, the dogs
Katie.
just started barking. Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry I can't be there in person today. I am out of town visiting family, and I feel like we're just always missing one another. So, but I'm hoping to be able to come another Sunday this month just to sit with you all because I do so enjoy coming and visiting. So I am Katie Baker. I'm the director of True Colors Flint Hills. As most of you know, we are a youth-driven organization. We provide direct services, advocacy, and education in support of queer and trans youth, those middle school and high school students in our area. A big milestone for us recently is we just celebrated a graduating class of our seniors. So we got to go to the high school and cheer them on, and then we had our own graduation party at the house for them with bonfire and sharing stories and all of that. And that's just a huge part of what True Colors is. When I talk about it, a lot of what we discuss is how it's all about building community and safety and those relationships, which are so valuable. And then out of that relationship building and that rapport building, we're able to provide them access to opportunities and mentorship and connect them to all the amazing things that are in Manhattan and beyond. Been doing a lot of planning around dorm rooms and getting people enrolled in college classes, finding first jobs. They're 19 now, but we just organized and got them into their first apartment. So a lot of really cool things that develop out of True Colors, aside from just our day-to-day programming. First summer, we're super excited that we're going to be offering a little bit more structure, and we're going to be working with our community partners to provide different opportunities. That looks like, going to the MAC and having access to the pottery wheels, going to Goblin Games and having intentional tabletop games where we're out in the community and trying to just be a little bit more accessible. And then, of course, in July, I will be helping with the OWL training with the UU, and I'm very excited for that and grateful for the opportunity. Another way to support True Colors is we are doing an online auction this month. So happy Pride Month, everybody. And that's going to be the end of this month from the 27th to July 1st. So if anyone does have anything that they wanted to donate that we could auction online, that would also be greatly appreciated. You can always just reach out to me. But then I did want to also invite you all to end our auction on July 1st. It's our 3rd birthday. So we are hosting a birthday party at True Colors. It's just a really intentional time for us to be able to open the doors to the entirety of the community. We're going to be doing kind of like a potluck style. People can bring a dish to share if they want. We'll have a bonfire. One of our volunteers is bringing some of their pottery that they can't use from the Witch and the Geek and doing like a little rage room fun activity. But again, just an opportunity for you guys to come and visit the house, come and see, what we're doing, and just kind of have a night of community to celebrate 3 years of True Colors. So that is all I have for right now. If anyone has any questions, but thank you again so much for having me.
In the 1930s and early 40s, the Nazis did everything they could to divide Europe so that it would be weak. They needed people to hate each other in order to do that. Norbert Čapek's message of love was the opposite, and so he was a threat to the Nazis. He was arrested for treason in 1941 and sent to Dresden prison. Later, he was moved to the concentration camp at Dachau. At Dachau concentration camp, he led a flower communion service with other prisoners, finding flowers tucked among the weeds in the yard. In the words of Reverend Teresa and Reverend David Schwartz, they testified to a beauty larger than themselves and a love that would outlive them. Norbert Čapek was killed at Dachau. He wrote this just before he died. It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals. Oh, blow ye evil winds into my body's fire, my soul you'll never unravel. Even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight, and everything would worthless seem, I have lived amidst eternity. Be grateful, my soul. My life was worth living. Music, poetry, and caring for the people around him were Norbert Čapek's spiritual practices to the end. He wrote 7 hymns while incarcerated in Dresden prison. In the Depths of My Soul adapts one of his hymns, setting it to the meditative chant-like melody that we just heard.
Our acknowledgement practice each Sunday is an opportunity to pause, breathe, and honor the ancestors of this land, the Ka, Osage, and Pawnee, their descendants in diaspora, and our own ancestors wherever they may have lived. We acknowledge too our own future as ancestors. We ancestors and descendants love to be free. We thrive in the freedom to live peacefully with the beings around us, to care for our communities, to nourish roots that hold us close, and to spread wings that take us far. We know that true freedom is found in interdependence, in learning our own unique expression of love for life and neighbor. The artist and activist Ai Weiwei says, freedom is a pretty strange thing. Once you've experienced it, it remains in your heart and no one can take it away. Then, as an individual, you can be more powerful than a country. Today we honor Norbert Čapek, whose intuition led him to religious freedom as a young adult, whose great heart and great mind remained free even as he was bound by a tyrannical government. And we recognize people like him all over the world, all throughout history, who have remained free and powerful witnesses to freedom, even when everything falls apart, who insist on finding flowers in the cracks of genocide. Those who did not survive, but made it possible for others to go on. Activist historians who insist on telling old stories to break the patterns, like those in Namibia, who this week marked their first Genocide Remembrance Day and asked again for Germany to make reparations for what happened in 1904 to 1908. Journalists and media workers like Moataz Rajab in Gaza, who continue to risk and even lose their lives for truth, because staying safe is an even greater risk for their values. Political prisoners like Mahmoud Khalil. Aid workers who go toward conflict rather than away and fight back when they're blocked. Queer and trans youth and people of all ages and allies who continue to show us how to live and love authentically. Healers and models of healing who remind us to keep breathing, keep drinking water and eating well and taking time to rest, because we can't fight fascism if we don't love our own bodies. And all of us who keep talking, who keep retelling the stories, keep witnessing, keep agitating for change, for evolution, human evolution beyond the violence. Like Maya Čapek, we spread a communion of flowers across the free world to help everyone wake up to beauty, to resilience.
So much has changed in the centuries since the first flower communion, but much is the same. Not only the struggles of humanity, but also our commitment to beauty and universal kinship. As Unitarian Universalists, we have learned so much about the ways that oppression and exclusion operates throughout society, across religions, and within our congregation. We are learning to truly embrace all people, even when their worldview or communication styles are uncomfortable for us. We are learning to follow a powerful new leadership by people of color, LGBTQ people, Indigenous people, whose voices have been suppressed for far too long and who have much to offer the world. We remain committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, justice, generosity, interdependence, pluralism, and transformation. In new and abiding ways, we are making real the bold vision of Norbert and Maya Čapek and the Flower Communion.
And so now it is time for our flower communion. We will be hearing some recorded music, and I welcome you to come up, if that works for you and your body, and be handed a flower. And then you can come to this vase or these vases down below and take a flower to hand to the next person coming after you. This is also a time when, if you would like, you may drop a stone into our vase of water to signify anything that you are bringing with you that you want us to hold in the coming week. Those of you on Zoom, I encourage you to meditate on these flowers, where they came from, knowing that you are made of the same stuff.